All right, so because the hockey game right now is kind of lopsided, and I think we're good right now. Oh, that's a brutal hit on Dumoulin. I'm gonna get into my top 20 because I think we've got enough interest that I can start doing my top 20. And this is where we're really getting into bands, artists that I like a lot. At number 20, Marilyn Manson. Uh, the covers of "Tainted Love" and "Sweet Dreams" are two of the best covers ever. That took songs that sounded kind of fun until you really listen to the words. But in the '80s, who had time for words? We were busy dancing. Marilyn Manson made us listen to the words. Um, and he's supremely talented. Even though I say he, even though Marilyn Manson's the name of the band, it's like Alice Cooper. You're Alice Cooper. He really isn't though. He's not. But fine, he'll be Alice Cooper. Marilyn Manson, much the same thing. It was a name for the group, and it became his name, which is he seems to be fine with. Very well spoken, decent enough guy, and he managed to capitalize on that fear of the Church of Satan thing that was going around rock music 20 years ago. So stupid. 19. I had Foreigner earlier on this list. Now Lou Gramm. For rock music, for a rock vocalist, Lou Gramm is, for me, probably one of my all-time favorites, which is weird because Foreigner music for the most part sounds really dated and I don't listen to it anymore. I've got a Foreigner's greatest hits. I haven't listened to it in ages. But Lou Gramm's music is to me kind of timeless. I know when I was a teenager I really enjoyed his Ready or Not album. And then the one that came out after that was okay. I had it. I enjoyed it. I don't have it now. I don't know that it's something that I'm gonna go out of my way to get. But "Angel with the Dirty Face" is a fantastic song. Number 18, Ronnie James, Ronnie James Dio, the originator of this. This is not the sign of the devil. Let me make this clear. Ronnie James Dio explains this. This is what his grandmother used to do this to hex people. She would hex people. It's a gypsy curse. And he's like, that looks really cool. So he started doing that at concerts. Next thing you know, devil horns are born, and everybody assumes that um, heavy metal is satanic, when in reality it's Ronnie James Dio's grandmother that's responsible for this at every metal concert. And from everything that Ronnie James Dio said about her, she was a delightful little old lady. Sicilian, I believe. 17. This one's gonna throw people off, but you know what? I don't care. I don't care if people don't understand or appreciate the absolutely fantastic voice Laura Branigan had. I'm a firm believer that she died at a young age because the world could not handle a voice as magical as hers, and she was meant to pass on to the next world and pass along her talents. Laura Branigan was probably the greatest combination of beauty and voice that I've ever seen in music, and she was just fantastic. And I know everybody knows Gloria. A lot of people know Self Control. Um, she did a version of Power of Love that makes Celine Dion's version sound like it was coughed up by dog vomit. And it makes me angry every time I hear Power of Love and I hear it Celine Dion's version, because I remember Laura Branigan's, and it's chilling. But much like Patti Smythe, who's not on the list, Patti Smythe also had a version of Downtown Train that was fantastic. And then Rod Stewart came out with one, and I'm like, oh, this is a Tom Waits song. It's cute. And then it goes top 10 for him. I'm like, wait, Patti Smythe just released that like 6 months ago. Doesn't matter. Patti Smythe not on the list. Fantastic artist, beautiful woman. Anyways, 16. This is where I diverge big time from my wife. If I'm going on a trip, I want to listen to Supertramp, and I don't have a Supertramp album to listen to, and I kind of want to have a bunch. Um, I discovered Supertramp when I was about 16. So I was old enough not to care about what was or wasn't in and pop music. And I started going back, and friends of mine were into either Zeppelin or the Beatles. And I was like, well, I don't really want to just follow, so I'm going to check out this Supertramp. And I got, even in the quietest moments, the album, Crime of the Century. Crime of the Century was the song that really won me over to Supertramp. Um, and then from there, it was just, it exploded from there. Like, I'd always known and enjoyed Breakfast in America, the song, and a lot of the songs from it. But Crime of the Century, um, the fantastic solo, the piano, bass, drums, that solo is just gorgeous. And I'd always been kind of a Roger Hodgson fan. Sleeping with the Enemy, Had a Dream. That's a fantastic song, and I had enjoyed that throughout my teenage years. But I came into Supertramp later on, and was I ever happy I did. And to this day, I still find myself quoting Supertramp songs regularly. Take the Long Way Home is a big one. When I was a teenager, I often did that. At number 15, this is also 80s. I am very grateful that Alan Parsons didn't stay in Pink Floyd. As I came into music, Alan Parsons Project was on the charts with "Don't Answer Me," a song that I absolutely loved, with a fantastic video and a feel of a 1950s song with a 1980s tune to it. Alan Parsons Project has so many great songs. And if you've ever cheered for the Chicago Bulls when they come out on the floor, you're listening to the Alan Parsons Project, which turns into Eye in the Sky. The funny thing is, um, Sirius turns into Eye in the Sky. Sirius is the name of the song you've heard at the start of every basketball game since Michael Jordan. And I always listen to it because I'm always like, how far are they going to play this? Oh, they loop back, because Eye in the Sky is so serene and quiet and peaceful. And it doesn't match Sirius very well. So yeah, it doesn't. They loop it and they make sure that they don't accidentally go into Eye in the Sky. If I had a favorite song from Alan Parsons, Don't Talk About, or Let's Talk About Me is fantastic. Um, yeah, I, Robot's fantastic. There are some really amazing songs from Alan Parsons, and he did an album as just Alan Parsons, not the Alan Parsons Project. So he went solo from his own band. Only Alan Parsons can do that. And when that came out, I think shortly after I graduated, um, and it's amazing, just amazing. And I think the first song on it was called "Turn It Up," and it's what I like with Alan Parsons is the music's very uplifting. So after I listened to some dark Ronnie James Dio as a teenager, I'd look for something uplifting, and I'd find either Supertramp or Alan Parsons Project. And mildly spiritual. I never went, even when I went to church all the time, I never went for the Christian rock thing because thought it sounded like it was a veggie burger version of rock music. You're like, yeah, it kind of sounds like rock, kind of tastes like meat, but it's not rock, it's not meat. So, yeah, that's kind of how I viewed Christian music. So I would go with music that had a good message to it and something uplifting, but not full on religious, because I just couldn't. I had a couple of Straper CDs, but Number 14. Well, you want uplifting. Remember, I worked at summer camp, and I was a DJ at the Christian station there. But I would get tired of the Christian contemporary. So only so much Stephen Curtis Chapman and Michael W. Smith and Amy Grant you can play before you want to put a bullet in your brain. So I started looking for songs from my personal collection, not just the one that the camp had. And I came across Pink Floyd's On the Turning Away. And I remember we were getting set for, there was a big banquet that night, and the song came on, and I had the channel cranked up pretty high. And one of the one of the guys who's cleaning with me turns to me and goes, "So Shannon, you did this show today, right?" And I'm like, "Yep, that's my show." "Which Christian band sings this?" And I'm like, "You know, I'm at a loss to remember the name of the band, but it has this really nice storyline about not turning away from the weak and the poor, and taking care of each other and loving each other. So I'll research the name of the band." And he's like, "Yeah, sure you will." Because I think it was really obvious it's David Gilmour, right? And it's really obvious it's Pink Floyd. But it was also a really nice song. And also as a roundabout, too, with me listening to all this and somehow shoehorning it in there. One of my fellow counselors is talking to a kid and he goes, well, why don't you put on the channel? Why don't you put on the radio? And he's like, oh, the Christian music you guys play up here is always so lame. Turns on the radio, Pink Floyd. And the counselor's like, got a different DJ this year. So that felt pretty good. I got to admit, that felt pretty good. It really did. Number 13. I didn't play these guys at camp. Oh, Debbie Harry. The first singer I ever had a crush on was Debbie Harry. I watched the video for Atomic the other day, and I can't tell you what it was exactly about her, but what a deadly voice. And it's funny because I love Atomic. I love Call Me. I used to love One Way or Another, but it gets so overplayed now. Yeah, now it gets overplayed. And One Way or Another is a song about stalking. So it shouldn't be used in action scenes and it shouldn't be used in some of the commercials that it's in. It's a song about stalking somebody. You are following them home. You are following them around. You're talking about following their family. This is not a song that you should use in commercials for mops. Anyways, of course, not that Every Breath You Take doesn't get used in very, very inappropriate manners as well. I dedicate this to my girlfriend. Are you sure? Are you sure Every Breath You Take? Okay. All right. Just saying. She's going to think you want to wear her as a coat. Not in the good way either. Yeah, Blondie for me, fantastic band. And even the songs of theirs that I'm not a huge fan of, like I'm Always Touched by Your Presence, Dear, In the Flesh, I can still listen to them. But Sunday Girl. And if it's Sunday Girl, it has to have the French in it. There's two different versions of Sunday Girl. One that's all English and one that has the French in the middle. And Debbie Harry singing French is so damn hot, I don't know why anybody took the French out. Whoever did that really needs to get their head right. 12. You know what? I'm going to move this. Nope. Nope, nope. I don't like them sitting at 12. So I'm not going to listen to my own list because they do not belong at 12. They belong higher, in fact. I'm going to move them right out of there altogether. They'll drop down. Yeah, that's better. 9 Inch Nails at 12. 9 Inch Nails would be higher if they could put together a whole album of good songs. And I'm not kidding. Downward Spiral is amazing. Okay? The last album of theirs I got a full album of was With Teeth. And I liked 2 songs on it. And the rest of it I'm like, what the hell? Now, their most recent release is an EP, which is smart. If you can't put together 12 songs that are really good, you should probably just stick to 5 or 6 and release it that way. But it's funny because Trent Reznor is a genius. Musically, he's fantastic. And odds are there's going to be movies you've watched where Trent Reznor's had a hand in the soundtrack that you may not know. You may not have any idea. He's a lot smarter than I think any of us would have given him credit for when Closer came out. Of course, that was the big one, Closer. I like the song. It's a fun song, but there are so many really fantastic songs from Nine Inch Nails. Reptile. Reptile's deadly. My ex-wife introduced me to a lot of the Nine Inch Nails stuff. She never played Reptile for me, which meant that, to me, she always secretly hated me. That she held the best song of theirs and said, no, I'm going to keep this one. You can listen to everything else. Just evil. Or she didn't like it very much. Number 11. Faith No More. Holy crap, these guys are awesome. And, Faith No More is one of those bands that I liked them at first. I love From Out of Nowhere. Epic is the huge hit, and I agree, Epic is beautiful. But From Out of Nowhere is a pretty damn good song from the same album. And then they moved on, and everybody else moved on from them. It was like Epic was this big hit, and then everything else after that was kind of a secondary hit. You guys are really missing out if you haven't listened to a lot of Faith No More. Faith No More is absolutely excellent. Last Cup of Sorrow is great, but Midlife Crisis, that song was written during a divorce. That song was written during or after a divorce, and it's kind of got some ugly lyrics to it, but it's fun at the same time. The chorus is one of the most fun choruses I've ever listened to. So there you go. A lot of older music in there. I agree. I understand. But from 20 to 11, there's some great bands in there too. And the top 10, yeah, there's some metal in the top 10. Yeah, there's definitely some metal in the top 10. But there you go. 20 through 11. Let me know your thoughts. Hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. I'll talk to you guys again soon.